Hello again, I'm McGann, and this is part 2 of my Vulnerable Narcissist Storytime. I highly encourage you watch part 1 first if you haven't, because a vulnerable narcissist can be very hard to detect. A vulnerable narcissist does not really present as a regular narcissist. They just seem like this good, nice, quiet person kind of hanging out over in the corner. And you're like, how come nobody likes them? How come they don't have, more people around them? And it's because they kind of poison those who try to get close to them. That's the best way I can put it. But a quick recap of part 1. I meet this guy on a dating site, and over 2 weeks, we see each other face to face 3 times. Then I saw him flirting with other people on a stream, and, his defense for that was like, well, they don't live in the same state as me, which I don't think is much of a defense when you go traveling around all over the place. But that's just me and my weird expectations. So anyways, the person that I strongly suspect is a vulnerable narcissist. He's telling me how much he likes me and has all these plans for our future and, asking me about being his girlfriend that I deflected really hard. But he's making me think that he's very serious about me, that he wants to be with me. And then he's on his video game stream, talking about wanting to bang the other girls that are in the chat. So I called out that behavior. He got mad at me for it, blocked me, and then came back and decided to give me a second chance, saying all is forgiven, we're fine now, when we were not. So even after he says, we're good now, I forgive you, I'm not going to block you again, so you don't have to walk on eggshells around me and feel like I'm going to just disappear on you, because I do have abandonment issues. I am very open and honest about these things. But this guy is still acting pretty distant. He's not texting me very much, and he's not calling me at all. And that just felt really off, because I had been getting so much intensity out of him before, and he was just constantly begging me for attention. Now he was just like, meh. If I hear from you, I hear from you. I don't really care. And that was very disappointing for me, because after we had the initial conversation about, how he was speaking to people in his chat, it felt very green flaggy. I felt like, yeah, this is a guy. He's good at conflict resolution. I want to try and, make something happen with this guy to make it work, to be long term. And now that, I was on the same page as him, he was pulling the rug out from under me and not wanting that. It just turned the tables on me to make me start working for his attention, which is another narcissist red flag, because, when they're done love bombing you and you're nice and hooked and you're like, yes, I want all these things you promised. Yes, I want all this attention and love that you keep handing me. Then they pull that affection away and make you perform these little tricks to get, tiny crumbs of positive attention again. So I was getting really worried at this point. I hadn't fully figured him out, but he just didn't feel like a narcissist, even though all of these narcissistic behaviors were starting to stack up in the corner. It just felt like, no, he's so good at communicating. He's so authentic and open and honest about certain things. How could he possibly be a narcissist? So I went to go see him again after a few days of these sort of strained text messages, and everything was fine-ish. He made sure to look me in the eyes and have an are we good conversation, to where he insisted again that, yeah, we're good. And the most I said that could have been construed negatively is that we will be good. I just need some time to build trust back up in you, because, you blocked me, and that is very upsetting and terrifying for me. Not only have I had narcissists jerk me around with that, but I had my best friend just cut off all contact and end herself. So yeah, I don't like this abrupt ending where you can't say anything and you're left reeling and wondering what's happening and how did this get off the rail. I like to have closure and understanding, and you can't have that if somebody is angry and blocking you. And this guy starts talking about us moving in together and marrying me while I'm there that night. Then right before I left, he got a job offer email that he had been expecting. So he's looking over this letter and like, oh yeah, I'm going to be making this much money. What do you think of that? What do you think of that? I think good for you. It's not my money. Good for you. I'm happy for you. I don't know why my feelings matter in this scenario, but I'm happy. I'm proud for you. But then he started acting really weird. He got it in his head that they were going to rescind that job offer. And I kind of tried to talk him off the ledge. It's like, no, you got it. They're not going to do that. That wouldn't make any sense. But just his tone, his body language, the energy in the room, it all dramatically shifted. And there was no changing it. Nothing I could do or say was going to pull him out of that, pit of despair that he put himself in. And it was all for no reason. I don't even understand, what worked him up so badly. But even with his tone really changing over the job email, I had no hint that there was any issue between us when I left. And we actually had plans to meet again the next morning, and at 8 a.m. that morning, he just texted me like, I don't feel very well, so don't come. And I texted him back. I'm like, are you sure I can come like bring you food and, sit with you, check on you? I don't mind. I have to be up that way for an appointment anyways. And I didn't get an answer. So after I dropped my kid off at school, I tried to call him because, I had to drive up his way anyway. So I thought, well, if he doesn't want to see me, maybe we can just talk on the phone for, that 40-minute drive or whatever. He had told me before we had that disagreement about his streaming behavior that I was never bothering him, that he would, talk to me and text me all day and see me every day if he could, and to just basically, be up in his business all the time. So I didn't think that there would be a problem with me, calling to talk to him on the way, but he didn't answer. And then once I get up to the area where I'm going and I'm on a highway doing 70 miles an hour, I get this kind of long text where he's like, I thought about it and you just have so much anxiety that I could never be with somebody like you. So the best we could ever have is a friendship and you're just going to have to respect my decision here. And I'm like, what? And the anxiety that he's talking about, which first of all, this is somebody who claims on his Twitch stream and puts on his, dating profiles that he is a mental health advocate and that he's somebody with depression, anxiety, insecurity, all of that. So he has anxiety. And he's saying, I can't deal with you because you are also human and have anxiety. But the thing that he was unhappy about, that disgusted him so much, was that I told him I have a phobia with like surgical cutting stuff. Like I cannot stand to see humans getting cut. It really bothers me. It scares me. Doesn't matter if it's irrational, it's not going to change. And so he put on these cooking videos where the guy is taking this giant knife and chopping like millimeters from his fingers. And I just kept going, oh my God, like I was not enjoying that. And he put 2 different videos on like that and just sort of, what's wrong with you? Why are you, and getting belligerent about that the night before at his house when I'm telling him that I have this phobia and I can't handle watching that stuff. But at the same time, the first time I went to his house, he was, trying to entertain me, which I appreciate. But he pulls up these video game trailers for horror games and he hates horror games. And he's like jumping out of his skin at previews that are showing nothing. So I just could not fathom how he was chastising me for having the same kind of reaction about, just a different topic. And that put me on the defensive. It set off all of my abandonment triggers. And I'm trying to text him back going like, hey, I thought that we were trying to do something serious here. So, why are you inventing excuses to try and push me away? Like, I don't understand what's happening. And one of the things he said back to me was like, don't you ever just change your mind about things from time to time? Like, so cold, like such a jerk. And it would be one thing to say, you know what, I thought about it. I don't think we're compatible, or I have this issue, so I don't want to see you. But to take it and turn it into something that is wrong with me was just such a nasty way to do it. Like, I have anxiety, but so do you, so you need to go F off. Like, it just did not make any sense. And I even said something like, after we watched those videos, you were talking to me about marriage stuff. So, if you were so put off, if that disgusted you so much, why would you say those things to me? And he was like, I was just flirting with you. You obviously took that too serious. But, who flirts with talk of commitment? And it's not like I thought he was proposing to me in that moment, but seriously, who flirts by talking about serious commitment? That is not casual flirting. Flirting is, oh, I like the color of your hair. I love your eyes. I love your dress. It's not, do you want to have a baby? Or I think McGann and his last name has such a nice ring to it. That's called future faking, and that's a narcissist tactic to manipulate their victims so that they get this false sense of a serious relationship so that the narcissist can exploit them. And I'm the one that wanted to keep things casual, and he kept pushing for more nonstop. But I could tell after, trying and saying like, wait, this doesn't make any sense. What about this angle? You just said this. What about that? I could tell that he was not receptive to it. I was not going to be changing his mind. And it didn't matter what I had to say at that point. So I gave up and said, fine, we'll be friends then. 2 days later, after telling me that, he only wants to be my friend, he really doesn't want anything to do with me, I'm too anxious, he can't deal with a girl like me, he is texting me to yell about an Instagram post that he accused me of posting to make him mad. And that post was kind of long. It was like, oh, I have, fantastic kids. I love my job. I love my friends kind of stuff. And there was a line in there that went, and I'm rich and can buy whatever I want. But, the guy had told me himself that he doesn't use Instagram. So I was not posting that for his benefit. I was not trying to get his attention with it. I didn't think he would ever look at it. Why would he be looking at my profile in the first place? He already said he was done with me like that. And instead of standing up for myself and saying this is toxic and blocking him, I just let him be abusive and flip out on me. And I'm really not sure why, other than, the people pleaser problem with my brain. I came so close to blocking him, but I don't know. It's almost like I was hoping that nice guy that I met before was going to come back out. I just was not comprehending that this was a narcissist that I was dealing with. And so the nice guy was fake. I thought that I, activated some kind of trigger in him. So this angry dude was the guy defending the nice guy so that the nice guy didn't get hurt. But I don't think the nice guy was real in the aftermath of all this. And seriously, he knew that I'm going through this divorce and I'm having a rough time with all this stuff. So the fact that he saw a post where I'm trying to build myself up and he automatically assumed that it was about him, and specifically that posting about having money was related to him. This dude spent $1,600, $1,600 on a custom video game cabinet. And he bragged to me multiple times about having all these tens of thousands of dollars from selling his house recently. So why would I guess that money would be an issue for him when he's bragged about, throwing money around? And especially when he kept trying to offer to buy me these very expensive gifts. And I'm like, no, you don't need to do that. Like, seriously, you don't need to buy me off to get me to pay attention to you. Like, that's not who I am. So I don't know why he fathomed that me mentioning something about money in the middle of like a paragraph long post was to irk him. But whatever. When he realized that, I wasn't posting about him, he just fizzled away and stopped talking to me. He didn't apologize or anything. He actually said that I deserve to be put in my place because, he can't cope with his own bad childhood. So that's my fault that I should have known that trigger magically. Geez, abusive much? I should have blocked him there, but I was really too off balance to act rationally. He came at me with so much hostility and so much just almost flat out nonsense that literally in one message he's telling me, well, I think that post really was about me. And when I wrote back explaining, no, it's really, really not, he chimes in again, I already said I knew it wasn't about me. Like, which way is it? Like there has been nothing to change your opinion in these two comments. But that's something that my mother does, and she has very big narcissistic tendencies, especially when she's fighting, that if you're stance A and she's stance B and you try to move to stance C, she will move to stance A, and so you can never get your balance in that argument to win it. And that's very much what he was doing here. And when he had it just shoved in his face that, oh yeah, she has a life outside of me, so maybe everything she does and says online isn't about me, the good thing to do would be like, I'm sorry, I misunderstood that. I didn't mean to be crappy to you. But instead he's like, no, you deserved it, because he had a bad childhood. So when you are a logician, you are somebody who has to have logic to make the world make sense around you. You cannot win against somebody who is going to constantly change their stance to always be right. Because it doesn't matter what they believe. It matters that they're right and you're wrong, and that's it. That's all the narcissist really cares about. So a few days after that explosion goes by, and I'm just kind of like getting this real anxious feeling like there's going to be another shoe drop, because every time he's like, I don't want to be around you, I don't want to talk to you anymore, it's always like a 2 to 3 day window before he's back to talking to me for some reason. So I decided I'm going to take the initiative. I'm going to be the bigger person. I'm going to have some control on this situation. And I tell him the day before his new job is supposed to start, good luck with the new job, and I'd like to be your friend. And he just went, thanks, I appreciate it. Which, knowing how he communicates and how he texts, when he's just very abruptly like, thanks, I appreciate it, or gotcha, he's really saying, F off, I don't want to talk to you. And that kind of short response answer where they don't want to converse and they're very kind of, you can tell that they're short-tempered about dealing with you, that's also very much on the checklist of being a vulnerable narcissist. So, okay, he's not being very responsive. He doesn't seem to want to talk to me. All right, no big deal. I can take the no even if I have to infer it, but it's kind of the closure moment that I needed to say, okay, time to get back on these dating apps and find new people. And I was. But I had to give myself a few days to sort of cleanse him out of my system and stop letting this guy get free rent in my head. So again, definitely seeing this guy as a narcissist at this point. He does not have good conflict resolution skills after all. He is not checking any boxes for somebody that I would want to be with. So we're all good to never talk to each other again. I'm fine if we don't communicate again. I have let him go with the thanks, appreciate it, and I am starting to see and chat with other people. That would be the end of the story time for a smart person, but it is not the end of it for me. So I hope you will stick around for part 3. And remember to always do what's best for yourself first, because the narcissist will always put themselves first.